Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And B1 traveler long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth.
Now let's see what the stanza means. Once the poet was walking down a road and then there was a diversion. There were two different paths and he had to choose only one out of them. The poet says that as he was only one person, he could travel on one road only. He had to choose one out of these two roads. Yellow wood means a forest with leaves which are wearing out and they have turned yellow in color. The season of autumn. It represents a world which is full of people where people have been living for many years. They represent people who are older than the poet. The poet kept standing there and looked at the path very carefully as far as he could see it. Before taking the path, he wanted to know how it was. Was it suitable for him or no? He was able to see the path till from where it curved, after which it was covered with trees and was hidden. It happens in our life also when we have choices. We have alternatives, but we have to choose only one out of them. We take time to think about the pros and the cons, whether it is suitable for us or not, and only then we take a decision on what path we should choose.
Stanza 2. Then took the other as just fair, and having perhaps the better claim, because it was grassy and wanted way, though as for the passing they had warned them really about the same. The poet kept on looking at one path for a long time to check if it is the right path for him or not. And then he decided and started walking on another path because he felt that the both paths were equally good. He says, just as fair, so he felt that both paths were equally good and started walking on one of them. He adds that maybe he felt that the path was better for him, so he chooses it as it had grass on it, which means that it was unused. Not many people had walked on this path earlier, that is why this path was grassy. And wanted wear. Wanted wear means that it was not walked over by many people. After he walked on the path for some distance, he realized that both the paths had been worn out the same way. Both the paths were similar and worn out. Even in our life, we take any path or option, but all of them have the same benefits, disadvantages, problems, challenges, and we must face them. We think that we are choosing a better option, but it is not that way. And both that morning equally lay. In leaves, no step had trodden black. Oh, I kept the first one other day, yet knowing how way leads on to way, I doubted if I should ever come back. The poet says that both the paths were similar that morning. Both had leaves on them and no one had stepped on them as they were still green in color. He decided that that day he would take one path and keep the other path for another day. Although he knew that one way leads on to another way. He knew that he could not go back on the choice that he had made. Similarly, even in our life, once we choose an option, we must keep moving ahead with the option. And we never get a chance to come back and take the other option that we had left earlier. I shall be telling this with a sigh. Somewhere ages and ages hence, two roads diverged in a wood. And I took the one less traveled by, and that has made all the difference. In this stanza, the poet says that in the future he will take a deep breath and say that once upon a time he had reached such a point in life that there were two options for him, and he travelled on that road which had been travelled upon by lesser number of people. That decision of his decided his future. Similarly, in future when you grow up, then you will say that once upon a time when you were young, you had two options. The choice that you made you what you became of it. This is a very strong message for all the students that you should be wise and careful while you make choices out of the options that you have in your life, because your future depends on choice that you make today. Now let's see two important questions. What is the message of the poem? The message of the poem is to make people aware of their analytical skills. The poet wants to say that the choices should be made carefully and thoughtfully. One should understand that life does not offer multiple chances every now and then. The second question is explain why this poem is considered an extended metaphor. Now let me first explain you students what an extended metaphor is. An extended metaphor is a metaphor that is developed in great detail. The amount of detail can vary from that of a sentence or a paragraph to encompassing an entire work. In an extended metaphor, the author takes a single metaphor and employs it at length, using various subjects, images, ideas, and situations. Now let's look at the answer. The Road Not Taken is a poem by Robert Frost that uses extended metaphor of a traveler in the woods to explore the impacts of people's decisions. While walking, the speaker arrives at a place where two roads are diverged in a yellow wood. Two roads diverged in a yellow wood means two words are divided in a yellow forest. The speaker evaluates the two paths. While one initially appears less popular, they are really about the same, and he chooses the second path. One day, the speaker imagines he will declare that he chose the road less traveled by, which was traveled by lesser number of people, and that has made all the difference, despite the roads being similar and identical. Thank you, children. We have finished the chapter. I'll be posting more chapters. Till then, please subscribe.